And it's not one or the other. It's hard truth and ridiculous grace to be known, fully known, and loved by you. I'm fully known and loved by you. It's so like you to keep pursuing. It's so like me to go astray. Ooh, but you guard my heart with your truth, the kind of love that's bulletproof. And I surrender to your kindness. Oh, I'm fully known and loved by you. You won't let go, no matter what I do. And it's not one or the other. It's hard truth and ridiculous grace to be known, fully known and loved by you. I'm fully known and loved by you. How real, how wide, how rich, how high is your heart? I cannot find the reasons why you'd give me so much. How real, how wide, how rich, how high is your heart? Now I cannot find the reasons why you give me so much. I'm fully known and loved by you. You won't let go, no, you won't let go, no matter what I do. It's not one or the other. It's hard truth and ridiculous grace to be known, fully known and loved by you. I'm fully known and loved by you. It's so unusual, it's frightening. I'm fully known and loved by you.
Who can love me like you do? I can be prone to wander, too full of pride sometimes. I don't make it easy to love this heart of mine. I can get so distracted, caught up in doubt and fear. But every time I think you've left me, you're still right here. I'm a mess, I confess, but you carry me through. Who can calm my weary soul when I'm lost and alone? Thank God that I know who can. Only you can hold my head up. Only you can help me see. Only you can break the grip that sin had on me. And I know I don't deserve it, but that's why you call Thank God that I know who can. People come together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, of kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from.
Good morning, everyone. Good to be with you. We've been doing something kind of nice and fun this year, which we've been devoting a Sunday to honoring the two people who week after week, year after year, give so much to this church by leading us in singing. So today we're going to feature our second singer, but this gentleman you all know, he's been with this church a long, long time, and we are so grateful for all he does. So today, please welcome Chuck Seeger.
It's a very ancient saying, but true and honest thought, that if you become a teacher, by your pupils you'll be taught. As a teacher, I've been learning, forgive me if I boast, and now I've become an expert on the subject I like most, getting to know God. Getting to know God, getting to know all about Him, getting to like God, getting to hope He'll like you, getting to know God, putting it my way, but nicely. He is precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know God, getting to feel free and easy. When I'm with God, getting to know what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about God day by day. Getting to know God, getting to know all about God, getting to like God, getting to hope He'll like you. Getting to know God, putting it my way, but nicely. He is precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know God, getting to feel free and easy. When I'm with God, getting to know what to say. Haven't you noticed? notice. Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about God day by day.
Okay, good morning. Thank you so much, Chuck. We appreciate you being here. We know you traveled a long distance, and we appreciate it. You're just great. Thank you so much. So if we haven't met, I'm Reverend Jan Mourning. It is my honor to serve as minister here at First Unity Church of St. Louis. And if you were in-house, we welcome you. If you're online, we welcome you. We want you to know, especially if you happen to be a first-time guest or even maybe a second or third-time guest, that we absolutely are an unapologetically inclusive spiritual community. Wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. We just open our hearts and our building to everyone who wants to walk through the door. And streamers, I want you to know that we consider you part of our spiritual community too. And so if you have a prayer request at all, you can go on our website, unitystl.org, and hit the Need Prayer link. Everyone who's a guest is offered a special year subscription to our Daily Word magazine, which you'll hear from in a few moments. And if you're watching online, once again, just hit the need or hit the Contact Us this time section, and we'll send you one too. It's a beautiful little magazine. You'll hear from it soon. Also, and I think I forgot to say this last week, we do have welcome packets out on the table. On the right as you go out the door. So if you're new to us, grab a welcome packet and you'll get a sense of what we're all about. And also we have lots of information about Unity on our website, again, unitystl.org. In terms of prayer, if you're in-house and you would like prayer, we have a highly trained prayer chaplain, Lynn Mark, who will be with us after service to pray with you about anything on your heart. So I'm going to quickly just go over a few announcements. Especially this week, or coming on this week. Do you believe it's almost the end of July? It's just unbelievable. So really our first announcement takes place next week, and that is August 6th, we will be a polling place. So the building will be open from 6 in the morning till 7 in the evening. So, you know, you can vote anywhere now, so drop on in and vote here. It will be great. And we have a 100th anniversary planning team on the 14th. Quilters and Crafters meet on the 15th. Book Club, I skipped, meets on the 13th. So we have a lot of things coming up in August. And we have something brand new that I want to highlight, and that is our building rental team met yesterday, or Friday I should say, and we are having an all-community work day. Now don't put your heads down and look invisible, okay? There are jobs for everyone, heavy jobs and light jobs, where we intend to clean inside and out, clean, declutter, make it just beautiful for both our 100th anniversary celebration, and also to take pictures and put them on our website in order to rent our building out more extensively. So we've got a great team working on that. So there's a sign-up sheet in the lobby. A little bit later we'll spell out exactly what the tasks are, but honestly there are big jobs and little jobs. So we really need some muscle. We need some people with energy and vitality to help us do that on the 17th of August. Hopefully that'll be close enough to our event that it'll still be beautiful. Also, save the dates for the anniversary celebration, September 7th, for Tower Grove Pride. We're really excited about that again this year, the 28th and 29th, and our first jazz concert, or our next jazz concert, I should say, is October 4th. So today's message is Hard to be Humble. Please stand if you're willing and able for our first community song, The Face of God, by Karen Drucker and led by Chuck Seeger, accompanied by Steve Schenkel. I want to say one quick thing while you're standing, and that is special thanks goes to Mary Tuminello. Did you see the cute little box out in front, the little library box? Well, look at when you go out. It'll be on your left. We are putting in that little library box, not books, but pamphlets about unity. We have an accompaniment box for the dog walkers. We have what do I call it besides poop bags? I don't know. We have little bags and dog bones for the dogs. So we're ready to go to serve our neighborhood that way. So welcome, everybody.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Oh, good morning. My name is Lynn Mark, and I have the honor of being your prayer chaplain today, and I will be standing over in that corner after service for anyone with anything on your heart or mind that you'd like to give over to God. And as always, all prayers are kept confidential. Okay, so the word for today is valuable, and the affirmation is, as a divine being, I am valuable and irreplaceable. Let's say that together. As a divine being, I am valuable and irreplaceable. Each person is a spiritual being made in the image and likeness of God, blessed with a variety of spiritual gifts that we share in different ways. The world needs my unique contributions, and when I see myself this way, I become newly aware of my value as a member of the human family, more confident in myself as I shine the light of God as only I can. Living in the awareness of my value helps others see it too. I leave behind critical or negative opinions I may have held about myself and treat myself as the divine being that I am. Like a beautiful gemstone, I too am a precious jewel among so many others. All together we sparkle and we shine. And from Genesis 1:27, so God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female, he created us all. Let's pray. Precious Spirit, may we each remember that we cannot put a price on our value. We are each made of stardust, created in a unique and sacred pattern that has a place in the world and in the universe. For this we are grateful. We say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will shield and proportion be as long as life endures. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Chuck. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. So, once there was a lion who was quite proud of his reputation as being king of the jungle. And so he started going around to his animal friends, making sure that every single animal realized that. So first of all, he went to the bear, and he said to the bear, "Who's king of the jungle?" And the bear was absolutely trembling, and he said, oh, mighty lion, you are." And so next, he went to a tiger and asked the same question. And the tiger said, "Oh my goodness, everybody in this whole jungle knows you are king." Finally, he went to an elephant and asked the same question. And the elephant immediately picked him up in his big old trunk, twirled him around like a lasso, knocked him into the next tree, and then tossed him into the nearby lake, finally getting him out of the lake and throwing him on the ground. And I mean, the poor lion, he was dazed and out of breath and could hardly talk. And he said, Mr. Elephant, if you didn't know the answer to the question, you didn't have to resort to violence. So, kind of a funny story. But the point is, sometimes we humans are a little bit like that lion in that we like to strut around and remind everybody just how important we are and just how we have it all together. Sometimes, not people in this room, of course, people outside this room and people not on live stream. It can happen, all right? So today we continue our series on joy, again focusing on one of the 8 pillars of joy, this time again from the Book of Joy. Now, this book is the result of 2 spiritual icons and Nobel Peace Prize winners coming together. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he's the highest ranking monk in Tibetan Buddhism, and he escaped with many others of his people to India after the People's Republic of China invaded and would not allow them to practice their religion. And the next one is the late Desmond Tutu, the South African Anglican priest, or bishop actually he's called, who's known for his work in anti-apartheid and human rights. He's a huge human rights activist, he was. And these 2 survived, believe it or not, 50 years of oppression and exile. They both were exiled from their lands. And despite their hardships, or as collaborator Douglas Abrams writes, maybe because of it, the 2 would say because of it, these 2 men, he says, are among the most joyful people on the planet, despite all of the hardships that they have endured. So 2 spiritual giants, 5 days together, and 1 timeless question. And you might think they'd be talking about forgiveness. You might think they'd be talking about world peace. You might be think they'd talk about resilience. But they were talking about how do we experience joy in the midst of life challenges. How do we do that? It's not always easy. And the 2 spiritual icons agree that joy is not derived from outer circumstances. We've said that before. Joy resides where? Within, very good, within. We might say it's actually part of our spiritual DNA. It's how we are programmed. It's how we are meant to be. Now, no matter how challenging and painful outer circumstances can be, we can always look for some good to emerge, looking for that goodness. In the words of Unity Minister Eric Butterworth, I don't think we've shared this quote before, but it's good for today. He said, "We can become bitter or better as a result of our experiences." We have that choice to become bitter or better. So looking for the good and the growth in those past challenges does not discount the experience. We don't pretend it didn't happen. It doesn't take away the pain necessarily immediately, but it widens our perspective. We see it differently. So today we're going to explore that relationship between joy and humility. Now, let's be honest here. When you hear the word humility or even humble, what kind of creature pops into your head? What picture do you see in your head around the word humble? One who is weak? One who is meek? Someone who is shy? Someone who is afraid? Someone who is powerless? How many of you associate any of those with the word humble? Sometimes we do. Certainly people with little humility, however, can be a little irritating, I think we would agree. Once Muhammad Ali was on a plane, this is in the Book of Joy, when the flight attendant passed by and asked him to fasten his seatbelt because everybody else had and he had not. He responded in a booming voice, the whole cabin could hear it. He responded, "I'm Superman, and Superman don't need a seatbelt." So the flight attendant quietly whispered to him, "Sir, Superman don't need an airplane either. But you need to fasten your seatbelt." And he did. Ali famously said, "It's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am." Now, of course, I admit it's possible that this was just part of his, persona to the world. I don't know if he really felt that way about himself or not. But at any rate, other times humility can be just plain embarrassing. A lack can be just plain embarrassing. Ronald Reagan shared a story from when he was governor of California. He gave a speech in Mexico City to thousands of people. During the speech, he received almost zero applause. I mean, there was just a little smattering of applause out of the thousands of people. And so he sat down thinking, well, surely my speech hadn't been that bad. And then he said, well, maybe it's just a tough crowd. But the next guy who got up just got thunderous applause. His talk was interrupted time and time again. And so Reagan said to himself, well, I'm not going to let them think that I'm less than that man. I'm just going to clap and yell louder and longer than anybody. And he did so. Hooray, hooray. He was interrupting the speech and all of that. And finally somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, sir, if you'll forgive me, I think you better stop that behavior. That man speaking now is your interpreter. So Ronald Reagan recalled this as one of his most embarrassing moments. So sometimes, thinking too much of ourselves can lead to embarrassment, that's for sure. So the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu say that when they address an audience, whether it's large or small, they consider themselves to be absolutely equal to those in the crowd. Not better than, but equal. And the Dalai Lama admits that when he was young, he had to learn this. He said he used to be a little full of himself and not consider himself equal, and he would kind of forget that everybody was equal, and that only resulted in making him nervous. It just made him a nervous wreck because there was such pressure with that. And he explains that when he considered himself something unique, or if the audience did, it only made him feel separate from the audience and took the relevance of his talk to their lives away. They just saw him as something different from them. In his words, thinking of myself as something uniquely special gave me a sense of separateness that isolated me from the people. And in fact, this kind of arrogant way of thinking creates loneliness and anxiety, he says. He had to learn to release that formality and protocol, and he reminds us, no matter what they are, don't get too caught up in our roles. Whatever our roles and titles are, don't be too impressed by them. I love this quote. He says, "Arrogance is the confusion between our temporary roles and our fundamental identity." We forget who we really are when we get arrogant and think that we're, better than other people. And then the Dalai Lama shares a story that's a poignant reminder that not all religious leaders, I would say, share this view. At an interfaith meeting in India, the Dalai Lama was sitting next to another faith leader who literally assisted that his chair be raised higher than anybody else to show that he was, the most important one there. I know people are shaking their heads. It's amazing. So the Dalai Lama said this man just sat stiffly through the meeting in a rigid, scowling face. He looked really unhappy. And the Dalai Lama said he couldn't even listen to what was going on because all he kept doing was looking at that man's chair saying, what would happen if a couple of those bricks fell out from under his chair? And then the Archbishop says to him, did you move a brick? And together they just, went into laughter, which they so often do. So just another example of how sometimes people who lead churches can think, they're better than the people they lead, and nothing could be farther from the truth. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, "Beware of practicing your righteousness before others in order to be noticed by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven." And the translation in the modern Bible, the Message, just absolutely nails it. I've got to read it directly because it is just too good not to. And this is from Matthew 6, verse 1. And these are words coming out of Jesus' mouth during the Sermon on the Mount. "Be especially careful when you are trying to be good so that you don't make a performance out of it. It might be good theater, but the God who made you will not be applauding. When you do something for someone, don't call attention to yourself. You've seen them in action, I'm sure. I call them play actors, treating prayer meeting and street corner alike as a stage, acting compassionate as long as someone is watching, playing to the crowds. They get applause, that's right, they get applause, but that's all they get. When you help someone out, don't think about how it looks, just do it quietly and compassionately. That is the way your God, who conceived you in love, works behind the scenes, helping you out. And when you come before God, they're talking about prayer here, when you come before God, don't turn that into a theatrical production either. All these people making a regular show out of their prayers, hoping for stardom. Do you think God sits in a box seat? Isn't that great? I love that. I love those words out of Jesus' mouth. And Jesus' teachings here, his teaching here has been summarized by a quote that I just love, and that is, "Work for a cause, not for applause. Live life to express, not to impress. Isn't that good? That's a great quote. The thing is, it's all about intention. The act may be the same, but it's all about what is your intention. Is your intention for glory or is your intention for good? So now, interestingly, the word humility comes from the Latin word for earth or soil, humus, not to be confused with the delicious chickpea dip hummus, which I happen to love, not to be confused with that. They're different words. Humility actually brings us down to earth. Sometimes with a thud, as it did with Muhammad Ali and Ronald Reagan, right? Sometimes it kind of backfires on us. At one point, the Dalai Lama asked his friend, the Archbishop, can you explain the role humility plays in cultivating joy? I mean, what has it got to do with joy? And immediately the Archbishop starts laughing and tells a story of a bishop who was about to ordain candidates for the priesthood. And one young candidate came to the High Bishop and he said, oh, High Bishop, my Lord, I have been looking all over in the library for a really good book on humility. Can you recommend one? And the bishop answers, oh, yes, my son. I am the world's expert on that. I can recommend the book that I wrote. It's the best book on the subject. Not exactly a model of humility, was he? So, one more little story. The Archbishop tells about 3 bishops. They stand before God, or before the altar, beating their chests, proclaiming how humble they are before God, that they are nothing. I am nothing before God, they are saying. And a lowly acolyte has been watching this. So he comes up and he goes to the front and he starts beating his chest too. I am nothing before God. And one of the bishops elbows the other and says, just look who thinks he's nothing. So the point is, there are many stories about false modesty. And they're funny because humility is not something you can claim to have. In fact, if you think about it, the minute you think you have it and start bragging about it, you've lost it, right? So, as spiritual beings in human form, none of us is immune, I would say, to the all too human tendency sometimes of pride and ego. I mean, we just work with that as long as we're still in our human skins. But the thing is, true arrogance comes from insecurity. It's been proven time and time again. Needing to feel that we're bigger and better than others comes from a nagging fear that we're really not good enough ourselves or that we're smaller ourselves. And whenever the Dalai Lama senses this danger, he looks at an insect or some other creature in the woods or the forest, and he reminds himself that in some ways that creature is more evolved than we humans because it is free of malice and overly pride in an overweight. Pride can be a good thing, but it can be taken too far. So the point is, we realize, we know in our hearts and in our souls that we are all children of God, of equal intrinsic value. We don't have to feel better or worse, see ourselves as better or worse than anyone. No one is a divine accident. Each one of us is essential to the sacred design of life. We all have roles to play. And being timid, really, if we're too timid about ourselves, that gives little glory to the one who's given us the gifts, doesn't it? You know, God has given us all these gifts. Humility, real humility, allows us to celebrate the gifts of others, but that does not mean that we have to shrink or deny our own gifts. We're in that space where we see all people as one with God. So in the third beatitude, Jesus says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Now, coming from the mouth of Jesus, we know that meek could simply not be weak or timid. Jesus was never weak or timid. He assertively challenged prevailing religious thoughts. He repeatedly blasted the Pharisees and Sadducees for their hypocrisy. And in Matthew 23, he calls them blind guides, vipers who do not practice what they preach. To the teachers of the law, he says, "Woe be to you, you hypocrites! You shut the kingdom in men's faces, and you yourself cannot even enter." He says this to the highest religious authorities of the day. Now, I ask you, does that sound meek? Doesn't, does it at all? Of course, we also know he threw the money changers out of the temple. We could go on and on about Jesus' acts that were not meek. But here's the thing. The word meek is actually one of those pesky biblical mistranslations. Bible scholars tell us that the Greek word, the ancient Greek word, translated as meek, is prius, a word for which there is no single English synonym. It is derived from a root meaning equilibrium, and what meek means is in full possession of powers, inner mastery. Now, doesn't that shift the whole idea about what humility is? I really think Emmett Fox defines it the best. I love his definitions of humility. He says, humility is a combination of open-mindedness, faith in God, and the realization that divine will is always something joyous and vital, better than anything we could think of for ourselves. So in Matthew 12, Jesus says, whoever exalts themselves will be humbled, and whoever humbles themselves will be exalted. So humility, I think of humility as a state of mind that surrenders our human selves, where we say, okay, I know I can't do it alone in my human skin, to that beautiful healing energy of the divine. And when we do that, it gives us great joy. We connect with the joy that we are. So Unity co-founders Myrtle and Charles Fillmore were absolute models of this. They never wanted the Unity movement to be about them. They wanted it to be about sharing truths with people that would enrich their lives. Charles Fillmore corrected students again and again who quoted him. He would say, yes, 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 I know what I wrote, but what do you think? What's in your heart about it? And Myrtle actually said, it is from the development of your own mind that you find the divine, that you commune with God. And to that end, the Fillmores actually left directions to have their ashes spread in an unknown location at Unity Village, and so that no one would use it as a site to honor today, which is just really an amazing thing. They were wise leaders, to be sure, because they knew it wasn't about them, and look how, all these many years later, Unity is still thriving. So here's the thing. When we are all secure in our divine identity, when we know who we are, when we truly embrace the concept that we are all one, we are all one with all humankind, there is no need for us to be better or less than anyone else. Comparing ourselves to others will make us either conceited and egotistical, or it will leave us feeling diminished and less than. It is a useless activity to ever compare ourselves to other people. And so the whole idea of humility is to realize that we are all individualized expressions of the same God. If we singularly focus on competing or impressing others, we are giving away our joy. You cannot be joyful and be competitive at that sense at the same time. As New Thought minister Michael Beckwith writes in Spiritual Liberation, I think this is one I haven't shared before, fully evolved people don't look to the outside world to convince them they're worthy. We can spend an entire lifetime trying to convince everyone of our lovability, talents, and skills. But if we gain the praise of the entire external world and do not have the validation that comes from our own fundamental goodness, we have lost our own blessing. Remember last week we revisited Jesus saying, love others as what? As yourself. We love other people as ourselves. The Dalai Lama says, so many seem to struggle with being kind to themselves. If you don't have genuine love and kindness toward yourself, how can you possibly extend it to others? We must remind ourselves that our basic nature is goodness, and so this will give us courage and self-confidence. Too much negative focus on ourselves leads to fear and anxiety. Certainly, we can realize our own areas of growth. It's not that we don't ever look at ourselves and say, we need to kind of regroup on this in this area of growth. We do that, but we do it lovingly, and we realize that if we can remain humble, it gives us that possibility to keep learning throughout our entire lives. We're never too old to be students. So humility requires an application, or appreciation, for that interdependence of life. And simply put, I think that means we need divine guidance and we need one another. That's part of our DNA. We need divine guidance and we need one another. At the very end of the Book of Joy, there's a humility practice based on a Tibetan prayer technique called Lojong. And I'm going to invite all of us, myself included, to make this our SGO. Do you know what an SGO is? Anybody want to guess? Spiritual growth opportunity, okay? I want to make this our spiritual growth opportunity for the next 2 weeks. And copies of this I'm going to have on the table a little bit later today with more detail, but I'm just going to give you the summary of them really quickly. Okay, here's what we're going to do. This is the practice. First of all, we reflect about all the people who have contributed to our lives. We think of our parents, teachers, others who have believed in us. Personally, I could just name a couple people who believed in me, things I never saw myself. I never thought I'd be standing up here being a minister. I never thought I'd leave the classroom to teach adults, and people had said to me, I think you maybe could do this. And it helps us, it just helps us. It just shapes our whole life. So also it goes on, and this is not on the screen, but you might think of your parents who gave your life, your teachers, those who grow your food, make your clothes, the countless people who are responsible for the life you have this minute. And then you might even go back and think of all the people who have made discoveries and created all of our modern conveniences. Think of your ancestors who lived and survived long enough for you to be born and carry on your family tradition. Think of family members and friends who helped you give your life purpose. And then the second part of it is, once you've got a list, and if you're a journaler, you might write in your journal, enter it in your phone, however you keep track of things like that. Keep a list. The second part is allow your heart to open and express love for all these people. Experience joy and appreciation and realize how strong we are in our togetherness. None of us is an island. We need all the people who support us. So in the end, really, I would say that humility is strength. Humility is actually strength. It helps us remember that we're all equally beloved of God. And as the Archbishop said, and we shared part of this last week, every single one of us is of infinite worth, equally beloved by the divine. We are all God carriers. Humility helps us remember our own power and that bond we have with one another. It really helps us to avoid isolation, judgment, and indifference. And when we listen to that divine wisdom within and remember our oneness with all humankind, actually, it's not so hard to be humble. So now we're going to take a moment to affirm the great truth about our God who makes all of this possible. As I always say, this is being affirmed in Unity churches all over the globe this morning and later today. So will you join me, please? There is only one presence and one power in the universe and at work in my life. God, the good, omnipotent, and so it is.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God.
So now I invite you to close your outer eyes if you have not already done so. Become comfortable in your chair, wherever you are, and just feel your body begin to relax. Take a deep cleansing breath, hold it for a few moments longer than normal, and then slowly, gently exhale. Take another deep breath, turning Godward, inward, moving more deeply into that inner sanctuary in your own soul. And as you exhale this time, just release tension anywhere in your body, release any worry or fear in your mind, and any thoughts of separateness or separation in your consciousness. In this sacred moment, you have the gift of becoming still. Stillness is more than quiet. Stillness is presence. Stillness is becoming centered in the one power and one presence that is pure, unconditional love, sustaining peace, everlasting peace, and uplifting joy. In the Hebrew Bible, we read, "The joy of the Lord is my strength," and that joy is omnipresent. It does not depend on any outward circumstance. It is always with you. It is part of your divine inheritance. So know that humility is a foundation for living in joy, the joy you are. Humility and oneness are actually two sides of the same coin. When you awaken to the goodness of God and all the powers of the Christ, you realize what Jesus himself said, "I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father, the Christ abiding in me, that does the work." Open your mind and heart to this truth. Jesus invites us into a new stage of consciousness, a state where we don't have to conquer the world or our problems alone. We never walk alone. In all circumstances, we can release stress, strain, and struggle as we turn within to the ever-present energy of God. In this moment, be prepared to claim your true identity. You are power, you are love, you are faith, you are peace. So now, for just a few moments in the silence, I invite you to bring a problem, a conflict, or maybe a desire or a life's dream into your consciousness. Become meek. Remember, the word meek meant in full possession of your powers, your inner mystery. Become humble. Humble means aligning in your inner Christ. Surrender worry, fear, and thoughts of less than. In this situation, hunger and thirst for right thinking. Know that divine will for you is ever unfolding good. Begin to see your situation differently, and you will draw yourself to a perfect outcome. So as you allow divine power to flow through your entire soul, just feel unparalleled freedom and joy for a few moments now in the silence. And so now, as we come together as a greater spiritual community, we feel our oneness with one another and all humankind. We refuse to be defined by opinions and judgments of others, just as we refuse to impose judgments on others. We accept our unique gifts and contributions with great gratitude. We are here to love. We are here to serve. We are here to be God's expression. And so it is, and so we joyously allow it to be as we say, thank you, God. Amen.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the Lord. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Thank you, Chuck, for doing such a wonderful job serving as both our soloist and song leader today. That last song has to bring joy to your heart, doesn't it? That's a beautiful song. So now it's that time for us to just pause, reflect, and give thanks for our many blessings. We appreciate your financial donations, as we absolutely do depend on them to fulfill our mission of enriching lives, not only in our own community, but out in the world. And for those of you in the sanctuary, there's a box in the back for tithes and offerings. Streamers, if you've been enriched by our service, we would really appreciate your donating via Apple Pay, Google Pay, or PayPal. Just hit the donate button on udstl.org or on our YouTube channel. Knowing that we are one with divine source, let's come together to bless our many gifts. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Now I invite you to stand if you're willing and able for our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. The presence indwells us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you all for being here today. We so appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you again next week. As a vibrant, inclusive spiritual community, we come together in oneness of spirit to support one another and express God in the world. Our service will end with our last community song, I Am the Radiant Life of God. Sing it like you mean it, and join us downstairs after service for coffee and conversation. Everyone is welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Chuck.
I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. The health of God, the strength of God, vitality, energy, rhythm of God. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. The peace of God, the joy of God, serenity, harmony, rhythm of God. I am the wonderful love of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. The light of God, success of God, prosperity, happiness, might of God. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am, I am, I am. Thank you.